Welcome back inside the State Champs studio for another episode of State Champs Hangtime. I'm your host, Elizabeth Coon, here with our basketball analyst, Lexi Ayala. Another great week of high school hoops in the books.
I mean, there were some iconic games that are going to go down in the history books forever. We got to get into it.
Let's waste no time. Let's get right into our first game. We're going to head over to Taylor High School as they took on Allen Park. Allen Park took the win in this one, 50-40. Lexi, we saw a little bit of revenge in this one.
Well, first, this was a big comeback win for Allen Park in two different ways. First, Allen Park actually lost to Taylor just 4 games into the season, 38-44. They were able to get this revenge. Revenge games are everything. There's more than just playing the game of basketball at this point. It's the game within the game. There's players trash talking you, fans yelling at you from the stands, and it's the team that overcomes that type of adversity who comes out just a way more well-rounded basketball player throughout it. Another reason why this game was so important to Allen Park is because they were on an 8-game winning streak, and it broke against Trenton, a team that got their revenge back on Allen Park. And the loss against Trenton on 124 showed Allen Park how much rides on those revenge games. And with a strong 15 points from guard forward Emma Bateman and good team defense, AP was able to get back into the win column.
Next up, Mercy hosted Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard. This one we can't say enough about. It was a defensive battle all around. Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard coming out with the win, 33-26. This was yet another revenge game.
And not just any revenge game was this one. I did my research. I got all the way back into the MHSAA history books. The farthest I could get was 2009, and since 2009, it was Ann Arbor who was never able to get a win over Mercy. They've been 0-16 against Farmington Hills Mercy since at least 2009. So to make the win even more special though, like you said, it was a revenge game in the sense that Mercy beat them earlier in the year, so they got to get their revenge back there. Oh yeah, and one more cherry on top of all this. It was also Mercy's first loss on the entire season. This entire game was a defensive-minded game. Mercy's head coach, Gary Morris, even gave props to Ann Arbor's team and head coach Tim Kane for the solid defensive game plan, forcing Mercy to miss shots and get frustrated emotionally from the start. The Fighting Irish's defense wouldn't have gotten them a win if it wasn't for the freshman phenom guard Vanessa Rodriguez taking on the monumental task of stopping the super smooth sophomore Aislinn Albanese. She scored 45 points in an overtime win against Dearborn Divine Child. Just the game before, Rodriguez held her to just 7. That's iconic.
Next up, we head over to West Bloomfield at Edison for a big matchup. West Bloomfield took the win 59-49, handing Edison their first in-state loss. Lexi, are the tides turning a little bit for West Bloomfield to be one of the top teams in the state?
Absolutely, and West Bloomfield was the team that handed Detroit Edison their only in-state loss last year, and that was their only in-state loss in years and years, and it's West Bloomfield now, 2 years in a row who got the win on Detroit Edison. This was the game of the year that I was most excited about, 2 of the best teams in the state, and the only reason, honestly, that West Bloomfield isn't at my number 1 spot in my Big Lexi's Big Ten rankings is because of that loss to Arbor Prep. You know, everyone has a little bit of a fluke game, but West Bloomfield has what it takes to be the best team in the state of Michigan. In the game against Detroit Edison, India Davis had 21 points, 9 boards, Summer Davis 11 points, Sydney Hendricks 12 points, Kendall Hendrick 8 points and 15 boards. This entire team is now coming together. It's not just the Davis twins anymore. Everyone's pitching in, and that's what makes this team so solid.
We're going to take a quick timeout and check in with our third member of the team, Kara Lyles, with this week's BCAM Chalk Talk.
So you are from Detroit. What is it like being able to coach where you grew up?
It's an amazing feeling, and I think one of the biggest reasons why I decided to do it was because I was from Detroit and I saw the path of how you can actually go through the process and achieve your dreams. So now that people, when I was little, paved the way for me and showed me the steps of how to get to where I wanted to be, now I feel like it's an obligation for me to keep that thing going and help other young kids reach their dreams as well.
To catch that whole interview, just head over to the State Champs YouTube page. All you need to do is search State Champs Net. Let's check in now with Big Lexi's Big Ten. We saw some movement throughout the top 10 this week. Who moved in and who got kicked out of that third spot?
Well, the first 2 spots stay the same. We still have Grand Rapids West Catholic at number 1, Rockford at number 2. They've been killing it, of course, as of late. But in the number 3 spot, I had to kick out Farmington Hills Mercy. Don't worry, they're still in Big Lexi's Big Ten, but they're not in the top 5 anymore. Instead, we have number 3, Lake Fenton. Lake Fenton's just been dominating, and that win over Goodrich was huge for them, showed that they can take on big teams and still get the win. At number 4, everyone kind of got to move up a spot because Mercy was kicked out. So we have Detroit Renaissance at number 4. West Bloomfield gets to be in Big Lexi's Big 5.
Now on to the bottom 5. There was a lot of movement here. Lexi, take us through it.
First, at number 6, we see Carmen Ainsworth moving up quite a few spots to the 6th spot. This Flint team is still undefeated, and I'm talking about a new generation of Flintstones is emerging. Dee Dee Smith almost posted a triple-double with 11 points, 10 boards, and 9 assists in the win against Davison. And Deandra Smith, she did get the triple-double versus Davison, though, with 20, 10, and 10. At the number 7 spot, that's where I place Farmington Hills Mercy. I do think that the game against Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard was one of those can't buy a bucket type of games, so I do think that Mercy still belongs in Big Lexi's Big 10. The reason Farmington Hills Mercy gets to stay in Big Lexi's Big 10 is because of their overtime win against Dearborn Divine Child. This was an instant classic game. Sophomore guard Aislinn Albanese dropped 45 points in this game. Is that not insane? 14 of the team's 16 points was in overtime, and she wasn't even the game's leading scorer. It was actually Divine Child's Kennedy Blair, the Bowling Green commit, who broke a school record with 46 points. Still wasn't enough to beat Mercy.
And at number 8, Chelsea, they had Megan McCalla score her 1,000th career point in that game over Tecumseh.
And she had 26 points in that game as well. Way to ball out, Megan. And that was just Big Lexi's Big 10 that we talked about on the show, but you need to make sure to go to our website, statechampsw.com, to check out our Super 20. It's State Champs' 20th anniversary, so we got to do a Super 20.
That's all we got for this week, but make sure you guys tune in next week for another edition of State Champs Hangtime.
State Champs Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Visit ltuathletics.com and recruit yourself. Hangtime is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud partner of the MHSAA. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Athlete of the Year Awards. Applications are being accepted now until March 6, 2023 for the male and female high school athletes of the year. Check out previous winners and download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. And the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. Find out more at bcam.org.